As expected, Kyle Lowry is coming home. The Sixers finally get a win, but they head to Cleveland for another tough test.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. And man, we're the co-hosts of the Locked On 76ers podcast. This weekend, some news came out, but you already knew it was going to happen. The Sixers been trending for this for a while, and everybody kept dropping his name and saying this and that about why they got rid of Pat Bev. So Kyle Lowry's coming home. We'll talk about that. Kyle Lowry was waived this weekend. Actually bought out. It's waived, but it's still bought out of his contract with the Charlotte Hornets. After he clears waivers, he's going to sign with the 76ers. And, I expect him, hopefully, with all this being said, to play in, I guess it was Wednesday night's game at the Wells Fargo Center. I believe it's against the Miami Heat. So we'll have that. But guess what? Tonight, Sixers got a tough one. They got to go to Cleveland. Cleveland is the hottest team in the NBA, winning 9 straight. The last time they lost the game at home was December the 29th. So the Sixers have a lot in store for them, and the team is just treading water. But, Mitch, I got to talk to you. Kyle Lowry, 6-time All-Star, Olympic gold medalist, pride of Cardinal Doherty High School, Villanova, standout at Villanova. What's your thoughts on the brother coming back home?
Man, my thoughts are that it's happening 4 or 5 years too late, Keith. Kyle is 37 years old. Kyle will be 38 before the season is over. Always glad to see a homeboy come home and play in Philly, but I just don't. I was excited about this when they were talking about it 4 and 5 years ago. After that, after he had helped lead Nick Nurse in Toronto and Kawhi to an NBA championship at the expense of the 76ers. He was still in his prime. He was had a few good years left in him. But now that the Kyle Lowry we're getting right now is just a memory. I think he's a shadow of the player that he once was. That there are some things that he can bring to that locker room, but in terms of wins and losses, we're looking at a 76ers team that's been rocked by injuries, that's been falling down in the Eastern Conference. And I hate to just be, Mr. Rain on my parade, but I don't know how else to take this. I think, again, he will provide some leadership. I think he'll have his moments playing alongside Tyrese. And he's a leader. He always will be a leader. And maybe he'll see this video and say, I'm glad that my homies are doubting me and maybe I can show them up. But, I'm not expecting a lot out of this version of Kyle Lowry. I'm just not.
Yeah. The thing is, you're right. The thing is, a couple of years ago, people forget. I remember it was February 2021. We were down in the Sixers. That was the bubble year, whatever. And the bubble season, not the bubble season, but the season where they were playing in their arenas with no fans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because I talked to sources and they all told me that the Sixers were going after Kyle. And Toronto, if the package was right, if everything was right, Toronto was going to be willing to trade Kyle to the 76ers. Mm-hmm. But it was also the Miami Heat interested, and it was also the LA Clippers. Well, how it worked out was nobody gave a good enough package that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers were unwilling to give up young stars. Now, the young stars they wanted Matisse Thybulle and they wanted Tyrese Maxey. Mm-hmm. And I believe whatchamacallit was in the mix too, Shake Milton. They didn't want to part ways with that, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens is Kyle stays. They do a sign and trade with Miami, and he goes to team up with Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Then the thing about Kyle this year, this was probably statistically speaking one of his worst seasons since he's become a star. You know what I mean? Like a legitimate starter point guard, like whatever, like guy. So he averaged 8.2 points, 4 assists, 1.1 steals, and 28 minutes this season in Miami, right? Mm-hmm. Now, look at it. He started each of his first 35 appearances before being taken out of the starting lineup. In the 2 games off the bench before the trade, he shot a combined 2 for 13 while averaging 2 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 28.4 minutes. Mm. Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to give you his stats for those 2 games and then the previous 5, right? As before he started. In those games, in those 7 games, he averaged 3.1 points on 22.5% shooting, including 12% on 3-pointers, with 3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 1.4 turnovers in 24 games. So when you look at it statistically on the floor, you got to wonder if he still has it. You do, right? Now, the way I look at it is like this, and the only way I can look at it is that this homecoming is more about leadership than talent, right? Like, I think if Lowry can make a play here or there, that will be a big help for the undermanned Sixers, right? Let's face it, they lost 8 of their last 10 games. So we'll find out how much more tread the 6-footer has left on his shoes, right? But he can definitely help. Nick Nurse is selling. And the reason why, we all know Nick Nurse was the Toronto Raptors coach, and Kyle was his star point guard when they won the 2019 NBA championship. So this is what we got to figure out. Like, it's going to be all about leadership. But and he's the first pure point guard that they'll have on the team in a while, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and the question is, what is he leading at this point? I mean, he is going. I mean, he's a well-respected guy across the league, and he will provide leadership qualities. But it's just, what are you leading now? You're leading a hodgepodge of players. This team hasn't been able to get healthy. You're still looking at the injury list. Some guys, will we ever see Robert Covington again? And so you're just wondering, I look at the 76 now. I'm like, who's going to rebound the ball for him? Who's going to rebound the basketball for him? And Kyle Lowry will come here and give you all that he has. It's just that we can no longer think of Kyle Lowry in terms of him being 6-time all-star, a guy who at one point was 3rd-team All-NBA, an Olympic gold medalist. All that stuff really does add up. He's like the what do they call it, the lion in winter. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Everybody seems to like Kyle, but the season, The schedule's getting ready to take a turn for the worse for the 76ers. Again, and he's going to have his moments. He's going to have his moments. But, man, 37, 38 years old, we asking him to be like, Bernard Hopkins at this point, to be well past your age prime and make a huge contribution. And I just don't know if he has it. I just don't know if he has anything, what he has left in the tank.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably going to be more about leadership than anything else because, you're right. I mean, just based off of those last couple games, and who knows, maybe some people get motivated by a different environment, but I'm looking at it as more as leadership than anything else.
Yeah.
Gritty, toughness, this and that. But you have a point. Look, I want to talk about LinkedIn jobs. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free, right? LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive, right? So what you need to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your jobs for free. Terms and conditions apply. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now you can also find it on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today channel now on Amazon Fire TV. Mitch, before I talk to you about, I know we said I'm going left. I'm ad-libbing a little bit. I'm just going left. I'm going off script. But before we talk about tonight's game, I want to ask you: do you think the Joel Embiid window in Philadelphia has closed?
Boy, that's a whole show right there. I'm starting to feel like it is. I mean, they've got this summer's free agency the chance to make a splash, but you look at the free agents. I don't know that there's anybody out there, and there's some. The Paul George's name is obviously going to pop up. There's some players out there that can help this team, but Paul George is an injury liability. So, man, I do not. It's hard to look at his talent and say that the window is closed. But if you're being realistic, if it's not closed, somebody is pulling it and somebody is putting some 10W40 on the side of the window to make it try and come down. I don't think that it's closed, but when you look at Joel and you're just getting, every year the number of years he plays is shorter and shorter. The number of games he can play gets become fewer and fewer. So to consider, I wouldn't say it's closed because you might get lucky. And it was weird because watching him this year, Keith, I know there were lots of times when you watched him play back-to-back, and he actually looked strong in the second game of a back-to-back this year, as opposed to some other years when he looked worn down. So, if it's not closed, but they're tugging on the window. The Sixers' window of opportunity with Joel is not going to be open much longer.
Yeah, it's weird. It's tough to me because the way he played, like he was in the midst of having a career season. It was a historic season. I mean, the best that he's ever played. He was the most dominant player in the league that we've seen in years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Keith. You froze on me.
So here's the deal. Like the thing is, the thing is, when it comes down to Joel, though, you said some things a couple days ago, how he needs to probably take care of his body more, right? He needs to. They need to put him on a little bit more of, play, you know, play less minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, he has to be more on. You gotta follow him more, because see, the thing about it is, there were several times, like this could have been avoided in a way if you think about it. Like I feel like there was I mean, again, I don't know. I shouldn't say avoided, but yeah, avoided. So here's the deal: there were several times this season, and I know I'm getting off a little bit,
No, you're fine.
but there were several times this season where you saw games where the outcome was already determined.
Right.
We all knew Joel's knee was bothering him early in the game, but he stayed in the game. Why? Because he had to get 30 points in blowout games.
Right.
And then, even this last one. So to me, it's like when the guy is as dominant as he is, you got to come to the grips and be like, look, bruh, like the way you're playing, you are going to be the MVP.
Right.
No, they're not going to take that from you.
Right.
All these 30-point games and stuff, like in these games where we up by 25,
right,
and it's like late in the third, and you still in there trying to get buckets.
Yeah.
Nah, we got to leave that alone. So that's the one thing, and that's what I'm talking about, the minutes. The number two thing is you got to do better with your body.
Yeah.
And the thing is, meaning when you're a big guy like that, and you talked about this, David Robinson, all these other people who decided to lose weight. Tim Duncan. They decided to lose weight. They kept their body in right. As you get older, you're going to gain it. So to me, there's some preventative stuff that he can do. The thing is, and like because the guy asked me that question about the question I asked you, and I said no, just because he's such a dominant player. And also, like when you say his window is closed, that means you might as well get rid of him. But I don't think they can get anything of equal value for him. A, he's really extremely dominant, and B, well,
Yeah, Keith. I didn't get a chance to hear the last thing you said, but yeah, you're not going to get equal value for him now. Like a lot of people like to bring up Rudy Gobert. People bring up Rudy Gobert, and what they were able to get for him, what Utah was able to get from him, but he doesn't have health issues. He doesn't have these health questions. With Joel, and people have to be honest about this. As talented as he is, I mean, and there's no 7-footer in the league that's even close to his skill set. But which that they say the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And if he's not available, and we have to be honest, he's, from what we've seen, the body of work that we've seen from him, he's not going to be available. The Sixers are not going to be able to rely on Joel being there, and it's not going to get any better. And I think it's ridiculous. They've got to rein this in. This is their investment. This is the guy they've given hundreds of millions of dollars to. This is the guy that they have invested hundreds of millions of dollars into. They have to make sure, there's this whole 65 game threshold. Listen, man, you've gotten your MVP. These string of games where you get 30 points or more. Like a game that stood out to me was that New York Knicks game. You know, I mean, he was struggling. The game was over, and it's like, why is he even out there?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he even on the floor? So they're going. I mean, Joel. Let's face it. I mean, he's not fat. When I see him, I see a guy who's kind of like in the same situation as Zion. These guys aren't fat. This is not a vanity thing. But the pounding on your knees and on your back and all those vital joints is lessened when you have less body weight on there. Charles Barkley dealt with that. Even though he did a great job of taking weight off of his body. Honestly, Joel needs. I'm not saying he needs to be a vegan because I don't expect him to lay off of the foods he enjoys eating. And I'm not trying to turn this into, the Jack LaLanne show, but he's got to start they list him at 280 and everybody knows he's well north of 280. He needs to be a very realistic, can he get down to 275? If he gets down to a legitimate 275, which is still heavy for the way the NBA is played today, even at his height, that's still a heavy body weight for the way the NBA is played today. But if he doesn't get that weight down, and nobody's calling Joel fat, but that hardwood does not compromise,
Yeah.
It doesn't compromise at all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. But we'll talk about tonight's game, once we get back from this little break. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capability to take your adventures to the next level, right? Let's talk about the 2024 Nissan Rogue. It's perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on you for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen. Ooh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
The 2004 Rogue is the perfect mid-side crossover for your next adventure, right? And now Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room up to 8 people and expansive cargo capability and advanced available 4x4 capability. With 24 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing, when adventures call, the Pathfinder is there for your answer, right? Now, this is what you need to do. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or even the Nissan Armada to go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. If not, Mitch is going to get on you. He's going to get on you.
Yeah, get with that Nissan program, baby. That Armada, sweetie.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. It's really nice. But Mitch, so I'm looking at tonight's game. Like when they played on Saturday.
Do we have to look at this game?
Maybe so we can remind people of the doom and gloom. But here's the thing. So tonight, Mo Bamba is questionable. Cub is out. Joel's out. Melton's out. Nico Batum is out. I mean, as expected.
Yeah.
And they going up against a team. So right now you got 1 7-footer who is questionable. I would be shocked if he doesn't play. Right? You got the MVP that we know is out.
Yeah.
You got Nico Batum, a pretty good defender, out.
Stays out now.
Yeah, all this. Now they going up against a huge lineup. Yeah. We got Evan Mobley, a 7-foot power forward. Jared Allen, a 6'11" center. It's going to get difficult. They got Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in that backcourt.
They're second best team in the East, Keith.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
was young. And the thing about it is, that's crazy. They got Matt Strus, who's a bona fide sniper, and 4 other dudes who were all-stars at least one time.
yeah.
Woo! Well, I don't know if Mobley got it, but he was like, he's projecting to be it. But the thing is, it's like it could get ugly, dude. But again, these are one of those games where you say it could get ugly, and then stuff happens. Like, you know what I mean? The other team overlooks them. But I don't know if they're going to overlook the Sixers tonight. I don't know.
Nah, the 76ers are going to need somebody who walks on water to help them out tonight, in my opinion, man. I don't think we can really, the Cavaliers are going to be the action. The 76ers are going to be the wood tonight. That's the way I see it. Even if they were healthy, even if the way the Cavs are playing now, they won like not 9 in a row. That sounds like the Sixers about 2 months ago, and 17 of the last 18. Donovan Mitchell is legitimately making a stake and a claim to be considered among the league MVP candidates. Garland has just come back from injury. He's healthy, and they're getting healthy, and they're young. It used to be Cleveland used to be like the armpit of America. Not just there's an awful city, but an awful basketball team. And now, man, they're looking like diamond in the back, white wall ties. They're looking like that Nissan Armada right about now, coming off the lot. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a very difficult game for the 76ers. They don't match up well against them. Mo Bamba. This would be, because he's lithe and he gets up and down the floor, this would be a game where he could actually probably display some of his talents, because the team's not big and physical. They're just long. But, they're going, it could get ugly. I think they'll keep it close in the first half. And, those middle quarters, that third quarter, it could get ugly.
See, people forget they beat the Sixers back in November the 21st, right?
Mm-hmm.
The game went to overtime. Now that's back when the Sixers were doing fairly well, right?
Yeah.
They beat the Sixers in overtime, 122-119. Darius Garland was a bucket. He had 32 points, right? Mm-hmm. Jared Allen was just chopping wood, grabbing all types of rebounds. He had 13 boards, right? So, and then they had a guy by the name of Craig Porter Jr., who led the team in assists with 9, right?
I remember that.
Yeah, so my thing is now Joel Embiid, this is a game. Now, they lost this game. And Joel Embiid, that game, had 32 points. Joel Embiid had he had 13 13 rebounds, boards, and then Maxey had 6 assists. So in other words, it was like they lost that game, but they had Joel Embiid on the floor matching what the other team's best player, what the other team's leaders did. Joel ain't playing, man, tonight. So it's going to be a tough one. But again, I've been covering this league long enough. I'm with you, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't bet it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers played them a little bit closer, just because this team everybody expects this team to blow the Sixers out, and they may be overlooking them or something like that. But if they're not, if this team comes out motivated, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be they're going to be in a lot of trouble. In order for them to win, Tyrese Maxey is going to have to break the Sixers all-time record against the Cleveland, and that was 54 points by Allen Iverson in 2001 on January 6, 2001. In order for them to win, Tyrese Maxey has to get 55.
He's going to have to get loose.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get loose. It's gonna be
Unfortunately, they're gonna need him to play a little defense tonight too. So
yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, that guard. I mean, like you don't got Batum, you don't have that, and like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you know, Kelly Oubre, he's when he wants to play, he could play a little bit, right? He can play.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, what you got rid of Jaden Springer.
Do we have to talk about that?
So what you have is Tobias and Kelly because the new dudes can't do it. That's just not their strength. So
you're not believing in Ricky Council IV?
I mean, he could try to do it. I mean, that's the big unknown, but it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and I think the known is his last.
I think I like Ricky. I'm a fan of Ricky's, but you got to give him a more of a sample size, because they went up against the Wizards, and I want to see what he can do tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these aren't the Washington Generals.
Yeah, they went up against them. The scrub DC tanking but listen.
The traveling whipping boy.
They had one center on the roster and they traded him. So that's it was like right. So that's it. But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for listening. Just know that you can get this podcast and wherever you get your podcast at, and it's free and available. You can go into our YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers YouTube, and listen to us. But also, we want y'all to just thank y'all for everything. Have a blessed day, blessed week, whatever. Watch the Sixers. Don't be critical of them. Whatever you like, do what you want. But just thanks. Have a good one. Peace.
Have a good one, y'all.